This is a really good question. If you're new to 3D printing and you want to learn a lot, watch this video. Okay, so in that last video, you click that comment to check it out. We learned how to design objects in 3D. I just have this box here for this example. Now, what this question is asking is when you're designing an object, how do you define whether it's hollow or whole? When you're 3D printing an object like this, you probably don't want it to be just one solid cube of plastic because that would take a lot of filament on your 3D printer and take a really long time to extrude all that plastic. You probably just want it to be somewhat hollow. Now, this is such a good question, and you don't actually have to do this when you're designing the object. Do not worry about whether it's hollow or whole. Create the object to be aesthetically as you like it when you design it, and then we're going to define whether it's hollow or whole in our 3D printing slicer software. A reminder that this software where we design things just designs the look of the 3D object. The slicer takes the 3D object and converts it into code that our 3D printer can understand. So we just simply export our 3D object once we've designed it, and then we drag and drop it into our slicer tool. We're using a slicer called Cura here. It's my preferred one. So we've got our cube here in our slicer. Now in the slicer, you're not actually editing the object, but what you do is you edit the settings for your 3D printer. So you're going to be able to change things like how hot this object prints at, how fast the printer head moves. But the setting that we're going to use to define what you're talking about, which is how hollow the object is versus how full it is a setting called infill. And this is a very important setting to understand when you're setting up a 3D print. The higher your infill, the more dense the object is going to be. At 100% infill, it's going to be a solid piece of plastic. At 0% infill, it's going to be entirely hollow. And I could actually show you visually how this looks when you print it out. So right now we have 100% here. I could preview what the print is going to look like, and we can look at it layer by layer as it prints. You see here, it's just printing straight flat things of plastic till it's all the way a solid object. Whereas if we tweak this to 0%, what you're going to see here, it might be hard to kind of see on the slicer here, but it's just printing a hollow box and it's going to print much faster. In reality, you're usually going to want to use something in the middle. Most prints by default go to 20%. You'll see here when we slice it, it makes a really cool pattern on the inside. It's pretty much like this honeycomb pattern that gives it some structural integrity while also not having to fill a bunch of plastic in the middle. 20% is kind of the sweet spot. But this is something you're going to be tweaking on a print-by-print basis. A higher infill is going to be a much more sturdy, solid object, and a lower infill is going to be a much more weak and flimsy object. But the lower the infill, the quicker it's going to print. I hope that makes sense. It's a really good question. There's a lot of things that your slicer does do that you don't need to worry about when designing objects, and it goes a lot deeper than this, but infill is one of the main ones you have to worry about and understand. When you're designing, just make it look like how you need it to and let the slicer do all the work to convert it into a 3D print. If you have any other 3D printer questions, I'm happy to help. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.